So I wanted to give an update on the Regency i1500. We did have a technician out here last week to take a look at the blower as well as the air control on the unit. The issue with the blower has been resolved. So as you can see, no more whine noise coming from the blower, and the rheostat works really well at controlling the speed of the blower and therefore the airflow coming through. It turns out that what happened was the little emblem piece here that sticks on the front was in a little Ziploc baggie packed into the blower, and the technicians who installed the unit had missed that or not taken it out and attached it here. So instead, it was inside rubbing against the fan blade, and of course we've lost a little bit of the coloration on the front of the emblem as a result, where it got rubbed off from those moments that I had turned on the blower and trying it out. So little unfortunate there, but at least the blower is working nicely now. With respect to the air control, still we're not seeing much difference. So we've got a nice fire in here with 2 logs now. The catalyst is engaged. It's reading a little over 800 degrees up there on the catalyst probe. And as I adjust this to wide open, we'll let that sit for a minute, but you're really not going to see any change to the fire from me opening up that air control all the way. Likewise, if I go and take this and now swing it back to all the way shut, we're still not going to see much change. With the technician here, we actually built a fire in the stove. He checked the connections between this control and the plate inside. It turns out there's no adjustment on this, but everything is connected inside. And he moved it back and forth with the smoke in the firebox, and it does appear that it's doing something in terms of the smoke pathway in the firebox, but it's definitely not doing a lot. And even the technician was a little bit surprised. He got on the phone to a technical representative from Regency. They talked for a couple minutes, and ultimately when he got off the phone, said that the technical rep said that it sounded like it was working normally, or as it should. Now, both the technician and I thought it's a little odd that there's not a little bit more control of that fire. So it may be working as designed, or it still may be pulling too much air through and not working as intended due to strong draft in this chimney. So what the technician recommended is just to burn it for a while, see how it performs over longer term fire when everything is hot and as things are all broken in. I'm not optimistic we're going to see any differences. It may be that it's working as designed and it just needs to run for short fires like a space heater. Or it might be that there's something amiss, but my guess is it's probably working fine and we just have strong draft contributing to pulling a lot of air through the unit such that there's not as much control here. And so it's going to be more of a space heater than it is a 24/7 burner, just because you can really put in about 2 logs at a time and it chews through them pretty quickly, just because that's as slow as you can burn in this particular unit, at least as it's installed right here. So in light of this and this issue with air control, I thought I would address air control on wood stoves or wood burning units, stoves and inserts, in these new EPA certified wood stoves. It turns out with these newer EPA certified stoves, you actually cannot shut the air down all the way. And that's by design, because they need to burn cleanly and burn efficiently. On this unit, air actually comes in 3 different places. It comes in over the glass via the air wash. It comes in through the secondary tubes in the top of the firebox. And it also comes in right down in the center. There's a little square, and in the back of that, there's just a little hole that lets air come in down at the coal bed in the firebox. And so when you're adjusting this air control, you're controlling the flow primarily down into the lower part of the firebox, that primary air. And you cannot shut down all of the air because you need that air wash and you need air into the top for secondary combustion. The whole point of these stoves, the way that they work and the way that they burn cleanly, is by maintaining a hot fire such that the smoke can ignite in the firebox when you have secondary combustion. And then on the case of this unit, you also have a catalytic combustor that's in there by the flue collar to then do a tertiary burn to get rid of anything that's left. In terms of how these controls work, unlike the old twist knobs like some of the older stoves had that just opened and let air right into the firebox, generally near the bottom of the firebox, usually these are just a metal plate, and as you move this, you're moving a metal plate that opens and closes over a hole. You can't see this in this particular unit because it's all in there up behind the blower and underneath. But on the Ideal Steel wood stove, which is on the other side of this chimney, the system is very visible. It's on the left-hand side of the stove toward the back of the stove. And as you look under, you see a metal plate with kind of an odd-shaped cutout. And as you move the air control down from wide open to halfway, it goes from having kind of this odd-shaped opening to having more of a circular opening. And then as you continue to move it down to a quarter, you get past the circle. And then as you move it all the way down to all the way closed, there's still a small hole that's left open to ensure that there's a certain minimum amount of air able to get into the unit to maintain that clean combustion. So this unit is similar in that it's controlling the amount of air, but then there's a certain minimum amount of air that's let into that firebox to maintain that clean combustion. You cannot choke these stoves all the way down. They're not designed for it because they're designed to burn that smoke and burn at high temperatures. The pure catalytic stoves can get a little cooler because the catalyst can burn the smoke at slightly cooler temperatures than are required for secondary combustion in the firebox. But the hybrids or the pure secondary air stoves need to let that air into the top of the firebox, and they need to be hot in order to burn that smoke. So that's a little bit about how those air controls work in these modern stoves. We'll keep working with this Regency i1500. We'll see how it does. It's certainly working well here for a space heater. We put this blower on. We get some nice airflow coming into this room, and it heats up this room pretty quickly. And so this should be a nice supplement to what that Woodstock Soapstone Ideal Steel does. That large stove will be the 24/7 burner, and then this will take the edge off in this room and a little bit beyond on those really cold days. I have a feeling though it's only going to work when we're home to be able to feed it every couple hours. I'm a little leery of putting more than about 2 pieces in there because it does tend to get pretty hot. That catalyst will go up 900 plus, maybe even 1,000 degrees just with 2 pieces of wood in there. And the temperature here in the corners above the door gets up close to 500 just with 2 pieces of wood in there. So I'm a little nervous that much more wood in there, we might start moving up toward overfire territory, which is why I wish there was a little bit more control down here with this air control. But we'll keep using it and we'll see how it does over the course of the winter. And I may be in touch with the technicians again, depending on how this is working and what kind of temperatures we're seeing when we put a little more wood in it and get a little bit more familiar with it.